Welcome back to the Two Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor Everett, and joined, as he has joined me for the last 3 games and many other shows before, is Grayson Hill. We just finished up watching the finals game 4, where Denver, late night pods are killing me. Denver has officially gone up as we show the NBA Finals game 4 post-game show. If you're watching this on Instagram, see, I'm not even live on Instagram. This is a problem. If we're not even live on Instagram, I don't know what I'm talking about. If you're watching this on Twitter, YouTube, feel free to drop a like in those feeds and share the show. We'll be live for about 30 minutes or so, depending on how long the little draft we have coming up here in this. This will be really fun. It's spurred from a moment tonight that I'll talk about. So long-winded intro there, but welcome back. How are you before I promo my big board?
I'm doing great. We're 3 shows in. We got one tonight, and then we got one more on Monday. So looking forward to getting our last hour in. And obviously, you got to use the promo airspace while we have it. So I'll let you
all it is final big board is released. It went out today. It'll be linked in the top of the description or near the top of the description. Top 75. I'm exhausted, and it was so funny because I knew that I probably made a mistake, and then I get a tweet from someone, and they were like, "Hey, 35 is missing," and I went, "So who could that be?" Yeah, I just saw an entire number is missing. I'm like, "Who could that be?" And I just put it in, and I realized I'm like, "Wow, Andre Jackson's missing from the entire board," so that really sucked. Went and put him in and fixed it. For those of you that might be listening from Reddit, there's a like button and there's a dislike button. Please use the like button, because if you're anything like they are on Reddit, Reddit's tough, man. They are not nice to me and most people.
I'll say that.
I'm gonna plead the Fifth Amendment, but no, the Reddit guys have been really fun. They were talking all kinds of stuff about the board and stuff. One guy, actually the very first guy to comment, this was hilarious, and like the upvote downvote army had my back a little. He goes, I don't remember the exact quote, but he's basically like, "Wow, this guy really thinks Keontae's gonna get drafted by the Mavs at 11," and like 17 downvotes later,
right? Yeah.
I replied with, "This is also a big board and not a mock draft," and I had like 17 upvotes the other direction. So clearly there was some discourse there with realizing what kind of content was there.
Right.
It was hilarious.
They know ball. You're good.
It was so funny. And anyway, all right. 2 minutes in, we've talked about nothing about the finals. So like you said, jumping to a conclusion there that we will probably not be doing this again after game 5. But all things considered, I can't lead this with any other way, but I don't necessarily disagree, as this goes back to going from 6 feet above sea level to 5,500 feet above sea level. It's a big transition for a team. Clearly it's so bothersome for teams to go into Denver when the only road win for Denver or for Miami has been in Denver right now. So in game 2, but I don't know. I had a couple of things written down. Again, like I try to be strategic with the things I take away from these games. I think Bruce Brown should start in game 5. I wrote that down in the first quarter. And that was kind of like, I lead with like no like normal headline. It feels like I always lead with something like random, like Bruce Brown should start. But like that was just the biggest takeaway for me. Like, and then as the game progressed, he clearly earned those minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the late lineup was telling. I won't say the game was close, but it was within striking distance. Certainly the Heat team, that's been their MO all year. Second half, fourth quarter comebacks. Me and you texting back and forth mid-game, like, is this the Jimmy quarter? Like, it's coming? And then Jamal Murray came down and said, absolutely not. So, I mean, I think it was telling. I agree with you on Brown over Porter Jr. We saw it late, which is a lot of times more telling than your starters, because that takes a good bit of trust with, 5-10 minutes left in the game rather than, 8:40 Eastern when you're just kind of rolling, getting the game started. So I think Porter Jr. earned the leash being this long, but I don't know if you really want to play with your food, even at home, and just dare Miami to essentially do the inverse of Boston and drag a series on a lot longer than it probably should go. Miami won a road game 7 to get here after that, but I don't think that Denver has any interest in really just, again, daring this series to get interesting, as they've gone to Miami and taken 2 after a road split, snatched back control of home court convincingly twice in Miami, 2 15-ish point games, never super close. But I mean, I think it's just, yeah, it's time to make a change. And that is, I think, a drastic change because Michael Porter Jr. is a very key part of this team. We saw how that team operated without him and Murray, to be fair, for large parts of previous seasons recently. And that's not a mistake that they're only here now because they had Michael Porter Jr. healthy and obviously Murray too. But I think, yeah, we're one game away from a title. I think you at least try it. And again, like I said, if you're willing to do it late, you're willing to do it early. So I do think we see that tweak in the starting lineups come Monday.
I was gonna follow up question and be like, so for the people watching live or live on YouTube or Twitter or later, going, why the heck would they make that change? They're up 3-1. I was gonna have you like lay out the case, but you laid out the case. It's if they're making that adjustment when it matters, why not make that when the game could probably get out of hand and be completely taken care of at that point? And I'm not saying Bruce Brown would have maybe there's some momentum there for him. Maybe he's a momentum guy more than I realized. Maybe something like that. But at the end of the day, Denver is in a position to do what they need to do, and clearly I made a point, before, and many people have said this about Mike Malone, and some of the coaching adjustments have been very clear. I don't have the fourth quarter. Let's see if they won the fourth quarter. They tied the fourth quarter, of course.
Yeah,
so clearly they are taking care of business and doing what they need to do in spots that has really, really mattered throughout this game. Obviously, I know Aaron Gordon having more points than Jimmy Butler is not something I had on my Game 4 bingo card, but I do think there's some adjustments that the Nuggets have continued to make, and this one was less just like, here's the thing that they did that got them the win. It was more of just guys doing their job and stepping up in a proper way, and that was like that was part of the reason I brought the Bruce Brown thing. But Jamal Murray, just driving consistently. I had a note written down about him driving in the first half, and then I wrote in the second half, verbatim, I said, very uncharacteristic of a team like Miami to collapse Bam and Jimmy completely on a Murray right-handed drive, leaving Jokic wide open for that three that he made pretty consistently. So just stuff like that that's just so interesting to me. Talking about some of the runs too. Jokic left for 5 minutes and 15 seconds with his fifth foul. I don't know if maybe you had that written down too.
Yeah, it was 86-76.
Yeah, they were up 10, and then he returned. They were up 9. So
that's half a quarter of no Jokic.
Yeah. And
I mean,
they're able to
that has to be better for Miami. It just has to.
It's not even better. Like, that's just everything I've been saying for weeks now, where it's like, this is the Denver team that we're accustomed to, whether they're playing Miami or Milwaukee in the series, or any team in the East, quite frankly. I think I said recently to you that, like, I think Philly puts a really good fight, and obviously that sounded like a joke after game one, but, like, now they're up 3-1. That question's not invalid.
In comparison, I think you're right, yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, that you're not going to – I don't care how good of a defensive team Miami is. When you're able to get the kind of passing where, like, Aaron Gordon has 6 assists, Murray has – did he end up having 10 again? So that would
12.
Be a 10. So he had 10 in every – so he's had more than 10 in all 4 games.
First player ever in his first 4 finals games with 10 assists in each of the first 4 games.
There you go. So and that stuff is backing up the kind of offense and the kind of just ability that they're able to create quality shots. And if the guys don't make them, then we see what game happens in game 2 and honestly part of game 3 when it got a little out of hand for a little bit there for Denver. So shocker, Miami Heat fans are going to be watching or listening to this, and they're going to be surprised that I'm leaning towards talking about Denver for the better part of 15 minutes. But there's a reason for it. They deserve this conversation. And
yes,
I mean, I'm sorry, but, like, I have to take a victory lap on this. Like, getting a finals pick right in freaking October, like, it to think that now, again, famous last words if Miami comes back here, but I don't even know why I just said that. But, like, to see the completeness of this team and to see it come to fruition from just never really losing it, like, they were, the Phoenix series was a little weird, but I think it's anytime you play Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, like, you're bound to lose a game or two, clearly.
That duo had like 85 in one of those 2 home wins. So, I mean,
it was like the second or third most combined ever. It was ridiculous. And then to go from 2020 and not being able to, take LeBron and Anthony Davis out to, like, sweeping them in a matter of 3 years, regardless of setting, like, that matters. That ultimately does matter. And that's ultimately why we're here having this conversation. And, before we get too deep into Denver, like, I'm curious on your thoughts on something from Miami that just maybe I didn't see, because, like, Strus and Vincent were scoreless in the first half. Like,
it was bad. Vincent ended scoreless. I mean,
really, oh my God.
Yeah. If you want a silver lining for Heat fans, Kevin Love looked 25 years old for the whole third quarter. Other than that, I got nothing. It was a 13-point game after three. So even with that renaissance flurry from him and Lowry as well, it's just it's not enough. If Kevin Love is the guy that has to get you going, and the scoring load is not then picked up by another guy, meaning Strucer, Vincent, Martin, Robinson. I think all four of those guys combined for, I'd say, maybe 15, not counting the last 90 seconds. I'm not sure who dropped buckets in that time period, but I think it's just Denver can have one guy off the bench play well. I don't think Miami can afford to, just because of how much they lean on guys in their scoring roles, especially when they're not there. I think, Love hit. I think Denver went up 10. Love hit back-to-back threes. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then, like they have 3 out of 4 games in the series, Denver came right back, punched right back, and we're thinking, okay, now it's 10 again 40 seconds later. And that fleeting upset thought, even whether it's Love or Jimmy, like we texted about, it just got met immediately. I don't know what the advanced stat is, but Jamal Murray, when a building is loud, not for his team, is like, I swear, 5 for 6 from 3. And it's immediate, and it goes from a riot to pin drop, because the momentum is just halted. And that's something I said after they dropped this game in Denver, is they cannot let Miami get out on these big runs. And they've done a pretty good job over the course of the 2 games in Miami of halting that, and they came away with 2 wins. So I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, and I don't want to sit here and have the is home court advantage overrated and this era of basketball, but like it's clearly like the fact that Miami won as many games as they did on the road this year, and then for Denver to win, was it 4 straight road games in a row, first time in franchise history. I think that was what they said tonight going into this game.
At least 4, yeah.
So, and obviously, not a battered history here of Denver, but
right.
Miami's minutes distribution, since I want to kind of I had so many things written down about Denver, and sorry to the 2 Miami fans that might be watching, but right this moment. But I do want to point out, just some of the minutes distribution were interesting for Miami and maybe where they're going with it. You mentioned Kevin Love, who looked good for a quarter, but Kevin Love at 18 minutes. Butler played 45. Adebayo played 44. Vincent played 19. Max Strus played 19. I don't think there's a coincidence that those 2 are the exact same number.
No.
By the way, they were a combined 0 for 7 from 3 and 1 for 10 from the field, and 0 of 0 from the free throw line. Duncan Robinson played 25. Highsmith played 0. Martin played 33. Zeller played 4, and Lowry played 33.
I know Kyle is up there.
So, I think honestly, the point I'm making and the way I'm seeing this and the way I'm trying to process it is, I think they've run out of options. I'm not doubting Eric Spoelstra. I think they're out of options. I think they're out of things that you can throw. The clean there's a word that I can use.
Sink. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
You only have
the
one
clean version. Yeah. There's another choice word that I'd love to use right now that I accidentally used in Game 3, but I think there's just sometimes you just run out of things to change or do, and that's why I made a point about the zone in Game 3. The zone was cool, but the zone was a matter of 6.5 minutes that changed Game 3, and they ended up not even winning Game 3.
Right. Yeah.
So honestly, I would love to ask you the question, what can they do to win Game 5? But I legit think shoot more than 32%
from 3.
Yeah, shoot more than 32%.
Honestly, they cleaned up in the paint tonight. They didn't get just murdered down there. Points in the paint, rebounds, relatively even. They even had an edge.
They shot 17 for 20 from the free throw line. That was the thing that kept talking about the Jimmy run you texted me. He kept getting to the basket and on anybody that even Aaron Gordon
points with the clock stopped. That is huge. Yeah,
he was able to do anything he wanted.
I watched the Heat go 40 for 40 from the free throw line against the Thunder in one of their 2 national TV games this year. So when I have to sit there and watch the Heat miss free throws, it actually makes me legitimately angry.
I forgot about that.
Because we lost 112, 111, and they were 40 of 40. I think Jimmy was 25 of those. And I was like, okay, This is just automatic. This is ridiculous. Yeah. If you're, I think it's fair to say at this point, not the better team in a matchup on an average night, I think that if you scrap and claw, Miami, it's not an effort problem for Miami at all. It's a shot-making problem, and they're not getting enough free throws, I think. If you just absolutely throw everything in the paint, Jokic had 5 fouls, had a golden opportunity to do it, and Gordon's still down there too. Porter Jr. got replaced for a much shorter option in Bruce Brown. So, that's probably little bit of the reason why we saw rebounding difference between games 3 and 4. And obviously, didn't change much. The score is pretty much the same. It's just so at that point, the only real consistent thing is Miami just can't get timely shooting. It's not a hero problem. They got all the way here, or most of the way here, without him, honestly. So I think, even if you bring him back, like, bring the curtain back and trot him out there for game 5, you really can't ask for a lot from him. He hadn't played in so long. I don't think that's really an option anymore. He can't really be the savior. If he goes 4-6 from 3, these guys like Vincent, Strus, and Martin combined for 2 for 13 again. That's really going to just average out to not good enough once again. So I think Miami, for all intents and purposes, is dead in the water, and I hate it because we are 4 games into a potential 7. I don't know that we even get 6 at this point. I think this Denver team, they lost a home game, which I don't know if anybody had on their finals bingo card. But a series doesn't really start until a road team wins a game. That's true across any sports playoffs in the 7-game series. And Denver woke up pretty quick after that home defeat, headed back to Miami 1-1. And here they are headed back home with that extra travel day, up 3-1. And I do not think they're going to treat this home game like we have another one there. But we want this to be the last game of the season. And sitting here tonight, I don't see a reason how that wouldn't happen, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to be said about like a young team that's never been there, even though, again, I said last game to you, like Denver has the championship. You just cojones. They've kind of just reached that point, except for the fact that I think if this somehow got to a 7, regardless of it going from a 3-1, if this got to 7 from a normal back-to-back, like 2-2, 1, whatever,
right.
the Heat have that, like the game 7 wouldn't bother them. Denver, I could see it
Absolutely
just
not.
like being weird.
We've seen that from Miami. We have not seen that from Denver in these playoffs.
Yeah. So that would be, even just in general, the history of the guys on those teams too, like Kevin Love being in those spots, Bettler being in those spots before. Yeah. That's the part I would kind of lean towards. I have to point out the fact that I mentioned before, and it's been mentioned plenty of times, I'm sure, 28 wins by 5 or fewer in the regular season and playoffs. Problem is Miami can't get the game to that point because I think Denver's just out. Like, we're just seeing they're ousting them through 3. And then I think the largest lead thing that ESPN always includes at the very bottom of their team stats is super important. 17 for Denver, 3 for Miami. So literally the only lead was at the beginning of the game. They're not a team that can keep. Here's the problem: they're not a team that can keep up with a lead probably once they get one. But then they're also not the same team that you don't want them to have the lead with 5 minutes left either. So it's like there's this 30+ minute gap that is disconnect where that is just that is showing you how superior Denver is. And like, I don't feel bad saying that. Denver had 11 steals, 7 blocks to 2 and 3. They had 8 turnovers to Miami's 15. Like, Miami wasn't winning this game. I don't care what anyone says. Like, all of this stuff just lined up beautifully where they just weren't winning this game.
Denver was +9 off turnovers too. Just backing up that stat, it actually did have an impact on this game. So yeah.
I don't want to linger too far on because we do have a draft to get to that may take longer than 12 minutes, depending on how fun it is. But let's do anything else. Honestly, just you said it at the top, but just elaborate on the Game 5 prediction a little bit. Like Denver's winning the Game 5. I think we both agree on that, right? And we want to figure out something to do for Game 5 to make it more interesting. But maybe we're wrong. But is there anything that other than 80? Other than shooting 60% from 3 and 50% from the field, if that's even possible, is there anything that Miami can change? Like, if I reach the point where literally, if you tell me no, I'm okay with that.
If they can get Jokic racked up in fouls again, and
I think it matters.
Cost Chipotle $1 million Monday night, I think that's really it. I mean, they're giving up a lot of 2s. They gave up 48 in the restricted area in Game 3. I don't know what it was tonight. I bet it was enough to be a problem again. So, I mean, 3 is more than 2, but if you can't hit 3, then 2 is a lot more than 0. So, I think we'd have to see a very statistically improbable, like inverse Rockets type thing from 3, which would go against every statistic we've seen from this team to this point, team-wise. And I think that the role guys are all struggling in tandem, and I don't know if you can really expect all of them to suddenly erupt on the road, backs against the wall. This is a team that has survived that situation. Down 1 with 2 minutes left in the play-in, which seems like it was 3 years ago. But I mean,
welcome to
it's
the NBA playoffs. It did feel like
right.
that long ago because it was that long ago.
Yeah,
It was
I
in
mean, it's
April. I mean, it was literally in April. We're in the second week of
right.
June. So,
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, being that we both think this is over on Monday, I think it's maybe premature to start the not victory lap for Miami, but the fact that they got here to this point, slow one in Denver, put themselves in prime position to win this series, I think is incredible. It's a testament to Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, who led this team, my All NBA king. Guys like Love and Lowry, who are in the later stages of their career, but still putting up meaningful minutes. We saw both play really, really well tonight. I think Lowry, like you said, north of 30 minutes, which I'd be surprised if that's happened more than 3 or 4 times all postseason. Ready when called upon, did what he could. It's just, again, the stage in their careers, it's not likely those two are going to be the ones that swing a game. But I think this team should be celebrated for where they're at. And if they lose in 5, I think that was like the most bet out series outcome. So, I mean, obviously you don't pencil in that one being in Denver. That's kind of why we were all like really shocked heading back to Miami. Like, wow, this series is a series. Because if it's, 2-0 or 3-0 Denver, Miami gets a home game, fine. Great season, round of applause, whatever. But this series was a series coming back to Miami, and they had to split it, and they couldn't. And that's why I think, all intents and purposes, they'll be over. I would love to see a single-digit game Monday, selfishly, as a fan. If this is the last NBA game we see until October, I'd like it to be not out of the out of the question with 3 minutes left. But like you said, this Denver team is keeping them at arm's length because they've seen every stat we have about this Miami team. When you let them hang around, and what Jimmy can do when given any chance at all to come back and rip your heart out.
yeah, the
Yeah, I'm excited
irony.
for Monday, but yeah,
I appreciate you being the positive light for Miami because I am very clearly not going to be that. We'll touch on some of the things you mentioned. Lowry doing everything he can. We'll touch on that in a moment after the Chipotle counter. But it's interesting because I kind of want I don't know, the whole Game 5 thing, being shocked by the result. I kind of want just a historic performance out of somebody. I don't care if it's Murray or Jokic. I just want
right.
I just want something if it's going to go out with 5, like we absolutely pretty much think it's going to be.
Yeah,
I just think it'd be
I will
interesting
say,
for it to be like that.
speaking of history, I knew I had to sneak this in. Jokic on the postseason, 500, 250, and 100 cumulatively. First guy to ever do that.
Yeah, that'll
So
also be now a Trivia
that's
Showdown episode
insane.
that's not including you because that was written down immediately when it got popped up. I
That
wrote
is the
Trivia
only
Showdown.
graphic I wrote down the entire night.
I got three
the Murray
Trivia
thing.
Showdown questions tonight alone. We are just
They were
piling in the
golden.
dough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so clearly those will be used on another episode that does not include you because you may be competing. So clearly that's not good for me. But I can't wait to start that prep for those that are new here. But I had one more point about something, and honestly, it's so irrelevant, and it went out of my head while we were talking, and I'm okay with it because we got to get to the Chipotle counter, and then I want to do a little fun draft as well. So for those that are new here, wondering what the heck the Chipotle counter is, Chipotle is giving away, and let's see if I can do this without stuttering. Chipotle is giving away, for every three-pointer made, they're giving away codes for 300 burritos. You just have to have tweet notifications on, and then I am issuing a personal challenge where I still, through 4 games, shocker, have not gotten a single tweet about it, showing proof that they've actually won it. And on YouTube, I'll pop it up on the screen for the edited version as well for my failed text in Game 1. But I will email someone a $10 Chipotle gift card of their choice if they provide me proof, or you proof. I'm also going to pop up our Twitters on the screen, whoever you figure out, send it to. Please send it. I just want to give away a $10 gift card because I'd be shocked if anyone actually won. I still have yet to see public or private proof that anyone has won. So, again, the math is for every three-pointer, Chipotle has given away 300 burritos. And then for the math of our counter that we're going with here, I went with $9, which is what about on average. I rounded down a little bit. It's like $9.30, whatever. Who cares? But it's what it cost me to get a chicken bowl in North Carolina. So, we are at, drum roll that I'll add in post-production, we were at $175,500. This is dollars, not burritos. Would love to actually, after the series, do the burrito count and we need to do that. Remind me to do that.
Yes, that's a golden
Game
tweet.
3, Game 4, today we had 59,400, which if I'm correct, that is second in the series behind Game 2, where we had almost 78,000. And then with your series total now not even getting close to halfway to what we thought $500,000 would be, I think is what I said.
Yeah.
We're at $234,900 in burritos. Again, this segment literally has no meaning or validity, but it is just hilarious, and I love Chipotle, and my wife actually finds it, like, she watches the segment because she thinks it's funny because she knows I like Chipotle. So here we are. There it is. It'll be on the screen, the gift card, the bait, if you must. If somebody wants to take that, we're going to make sure that someone gets $10 if they can tweet at one of us. So SeatGeek ad will start rolling at the bottom of the screen because the rest of this conversation has nothing to do with Game 4 except for the one factoid I'm about to provide. So I texted you basically in the second quarter is when it happened, close to halftime, and I said verbatim, we will be doing a draft that was inspired by this play. Kyle Lowry, somewhere near about the end of the first half, I think it was in the last 2 minutes or so.
2-3 minutes, yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of paraphrasing the play here, but you'll get the point. He slides under Jokic, not enough to like knock him out from under like a bowling pin, but just enough that it reminded me of like 80s, 90s Pistons a little, where like guy goes up, you don't really see because there's guys all around, Bam's dunking. You know, there's a forearm somewhere between Bam and Jokic and Lowry. It's somewhere between it. He takes it right to the gut. No one really notices it. Jokic isn't really a guy that openly complains unless he thinks it's like absolutely obvious. So takes it right on the stomach or chest. Which spurred the thought, we're going to do a starting five draft of sneaky, dirty players that are active NBA players. And there are some interesting active NBA players, and I will divulge my list in just a few minutes as we draft. I think we're just going to go 2 guards. I don't really care about position. It's positionless NBA now. I'd love to do 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a big. If you sneak a forward that's not really a big, I'm not going to cry about it, okay? This is completely satire and potentially for TikTok. So, sneaky, dirty players. The only caveat is for those listening and watching live or in the future, Kyle Lowry's off the board because he would probably be the first pick by either of us, so let's just be fair and take him off the board. I'm going to give you the first pick because you texted me about one that I'm pretty sure you'll take, but I'd be shocked if you took him. If you took him 1-1 because of that text, I'd be kind of shocked. But I'm curious the avenue you start going down once it starts getting a little weird on the list. So, what's your first pick?
I'm going to start with a forward. It's because he might be the dirtiest player, maybe in the history of organized sports in general. Forget the NBA, forget basketball. Draymond Green.
So what is he doing sneaky? Again, I don't want to spend 40 minutes on this segment,
I think
but like,
we see the bad ones so much. I bet he's gotten away with 200. We just don't see.
Is there an example? Because that's what I tried to come up with an example for all of my guys, and I don't have an example for all of them, to be clear.
Honestly,
some of them I just have a gut feeling about. So like
that was my
it's just,
Thunder fan shoehorn in shot at Draymond.
No, I think it's good though. So, and for those of you that are just tuning in live on YouTube, we're doing a live draft of guys that are sneakily dirty, inspired by Kyle Lowry's. We're going to call it gut punch on Jokic on one of Bam's dunks. Shout out to Kyle Lowry for that, I guess. But and the person left as soon as I said that. So. But no, Draymond I think does. I think he has those moments. Like I think he does the same thing. Like I'll throw in this, and I'll get to a guy later that may not get drafted, but sets a lot of really hard screens, and I'm not sure that his elbows are as tight in as possible on screens, or hands potentially.
That's what I'm saying. The bar is so high for him that things like that, that are common fouls for the other 9 people on the floor. They're like, okay. That's above the belt,
even trash talk. Trash talk is dirty. Trash talk is dirty, and he's one of the most famous trash talkers recently.
Up for that,
Yeah. So I mean, if he doesn't get teed up for it, it technically counts. So I guess it's fair. I love that was the first question. You even asked me if that was allowed. I was like, yeah, it's allowed because he gets away with stuff. So why wouldn't he be allowed?
Right.
I don't want to be the guy, and I wish I had like a perfect tracker. So keep track of the teams for me.
Right.
But I don't want to be the guy out the gate to take this guy because I think it'd be awful. But I also can't give you a team with these 2 guys as the lead 2 guys because if we're going off star power, I don't know who's going to win. We're going to let Twitter vote. But I can't put out a tweet poll knowing that there's going to be a team with 2 all-stars on it, and it would be on your team. So I'm taking Chris Paul, and I don't love the pick, but at the same time, those that have watched him over the last 17 years, he's a first-round pick in this draft. Like, as much as I love the guy, I mean, we could spend all the rest of the half hour, which we're not going to do, on Chris Paul, like, small, dirty plays, but, like, just watch Chris Paul. Like that's it. He does
starting
things
college. Yeah.
like
It's-
starting. Yeah, start early and
Yeah.
then it'll kind of progress itself. I think there's a common theme here too, like that I will get to is like these guys that have been around a long time know what to get away with and what not to get away with. Again, Draymond Green is the famous example of that. But at the same time, like Chris Paul knows exactly what to do anytime there's like a position where he can like say something or do something, or like there's this one that's famous where like he like pulls on a guy's jersey or something. I have to find the clip, but like he does something with a jersey, like they're like running on a fast break,
tuck and they get a tag.
Yeah, I'm like, like what are we doing here? Like, so if he's able to get a tech on an untucked jersey, like that's nuts. So I have to take him, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with what we could go.
No, I love that. That's
So I've got my point guard set. You will do snake draft we'll just go back and forth. We'll go back and forth. No need to confuse. Snake drafts with two people are stupid. So let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
Who are you taking? You have a forward so far. A forward subjectively. He can be
I need a guard. Position. And this guy's only sneaky.
Love it, we're actually trying to build a team.
This guy almost never plays, so that's my sneaky excuse. But speaking of starting in college, Grayson Allen, I think, is still active in the NBA somewhere.
Yeah, he's active on the Bucks. Yeah.
In his 6 minutes a night, he manages to trip somebody, grab something. It's just
interesting.
His highlight tape in the NBA is probably half fouls, honestly.
Yeah.
I think there's a guy who pulled down a layup from memory. That might be a Duke thing, but it's just how did this even? When it started to continue in the NBA, I was just shocked that he just was like, well, I got past Coach K doing this. What do I have to lose now? These contracts.
Coach K encourages it. What do you mean?
Right.
Coach K
yeah. I mean, he won games doing it. Yeah.
It's just so funny
just
that
like hooking feet on the ground, just all this stuff.
That's what makes me so interested. It makes me so interested why he's a special advisor to the NBA. Like it's just interesting. It's like, aren't we trying to fix that rule? It's like I don't know. I don't want to degrade a coaching legend. I'm really interested that's the path you went down, because I had him. I wrote them down in no particular order. I went like alphabetical order by team, and he's near the bottom. But I think he toes the line of like, is it sneaky? Like I think
that's true too.
He's very openly like just bad.
That's the excuse. He never plays. So when it's like 120 to 83 in the fourth quarter on a Tuesday night, he's in there doing something, but no one's watching.
All right, that's fair.
By virtue of that alone.
That's like a backdoor. I like that. You like backdoor sneak.
Yeah.
For round 2, I don't know. It's interesting. I think there's a better pick available. I'm going to go ahead and load up my backcourt. I'm going to go ahead and just secure my backcourt, and it's who's coming. It's Marcus Smart. It's 100% Marcus Smart. Like he is the quintessential. He's the quintessential Van Gundy and Jackson going, oh, I just can't agree with that call. Why didn't they just call that flop on him? I just combine their voices together somehow. But like just takes the flop and like pulls the arms up and like makes the motion, and it's the dumbest thing ever, and Marcus Smart needs to be like benched for it every time he does it. So except that's never going to happen. I don't want to elaborate anymore because I don't want to piss off Celtics fans any more than I have. They're watching Miami they're watching Miami not be able to hit the backboard with a ball, and there's a reason that they're not in the finals. So Marcus Smart is my guard. I will take him very happily and have my backcourt secured. If we have enough guys left on the board, by the way, we'll take 6 men just for fun.
Perfect. My next guy, his antics were so bad, his own team banished him to NBA and potentially international free agency. So I will take Dillon Brooks because he's only going to be active for another week. So we have to do this now. If we do a summer edition of this, I don't think he'll be eligible.
Oh, God.
Because of that, I'm going to take him. And, shockingly, not the biggest issue the Grizzlies have off the court. So maybe a little heat taken off for that. But his own teammates were so tired of it that he is essentially banished into, I don't know. He may end up in Charlotte if things repeat themselves. But, I'm going to take Dillon Brooks. And just a collective of things that, from a basketball sense, make you wonder how this guy has a jersey. I was actually a fan of him in Oregon, and that dissipated pretty quickly as he began his NBA journey in Memphis, which, again, has several issues with several players. But I think that for this draft, it is only right that I go with Dillon Brooks.
Not on my board. Shockingly, I know.
Really?
I just think, again, there was a couple of guys that I just completely omitted because when you do it so blatantly obvious, I kind of can't give it. He has a teammate that we might draft today. But I'm going to keep the draft rolling. I do think, by the way, people are going to watch this later and be like, why is a 30-minute post-game show 45 minutes? Because of this draft. So I'm having a great time. I cannot believe that I got this guy in round 3. I think he has first round value, and I'm going to go with PJ Tucker. Everything that guy does now, except for hit a corner 3, is do sneaky, dirty things. That's it. That's the pick, and that's the explanation. And I'm good. You can take your 3rd round pick. Everything he does.
Yeah. I'm going to take – I really could take both of these brothers, but I'll go with Markieff because he got away with it until Jokic internally decapitated him. I just think that only because he really got exposed on the national stage. He had the family members of players showing up to games, creating Twitter accounts, etc., because it had gone unchecked for so long and it finally got checked. So the Morris family, but I'll only take one. I'll take Markieff.
I like that you didn't really try to hide it. You're like, these guys, they got to be doing something dirty. So you're like, I'll just take the guys that did stupid stuff. So I like it. This is good. We went 2 completely different paths on this, which is funny. I'm going to throw, for the sake of the fun of this episode, unless you have more forwards and bigs than I think, I'm going to throw the positions out the window. If you want to take 3 guards,
sure, yeah.
I don't care because I'm looking at my big board here, and there is not exactly many big guys left, or guys taller than 6'4". So,
right.
And I want it to kind of make sense. I want it to actually be like, these guys are supposed to be on this list. I am going to try my hardest to build an actual team because I have a cheat. I guess we both have a cheat. Technically, it doesn't matter. Technically, you can play Draymond at the 5, and I can play PJ at the 5.
Oh, I could get
Both those guys have played 5. So honestly, who cares? Pick whoever you want. It's fair.
It's like all NBA. Just do it. Yeah.
I think we just talked out the live example of both those guys have played small ball 5. So never mind. Forget what I said about the positions. I'm going to take a guy that I can't also believe fell to the 4th round. And I'm going to very happily walk to the podium with a Grant Williams card because everything that guy does.
Yeah.
I feel like I cannot wait for this poll to go out. This is going to be so good. Grant Williams, not to kick Boston again while they're down, but I think letting him leave is probably a good idea. And some of the semantics might be involved.
Pay him $20 million.
Yeah,
I think that's in their best.
Money aside, I do think it's probably best just for semantics. And I think this is a great pick in round 4.
Yeah, let Ime Udoka fix him in Houston as they're on year 1 of that rebuild again.
So what are we at?
The only guard I have left is the least sneaky, dirty player in the history of basketball. If you were doing all dirty NBA, he would be up there with Draymond. So I'm going to pass on him. Speaking
really
of Kevin Love,
it is, but it's probably Pat Bev.
it was Patrick Beverley.
Okay, yeah.
I'll
take
him. Look
off
up dirty NBA player. It's his face.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and mark him off now. Let's see.
Yeah.
Really fast before you say, so you have Draymond. Read your team out really quick and make sure I have it.
We got Draymond, Grayson Hill, Markieff Morris, and it's the only guard I have left. So I'll take Pat Bev out of positional necessity.
Oh, so you are taking Pat Bev. Oh.
Yeah, I still glanced at my big board, and there's not a lot of small guys left.
You're like, wait a minute. I need guys
I've got
that
one
actually are dirty.
I've got one's complete troll, so I'm going to leave him out of my lineup if I can.
All right, so you took one of the Morrises. I don't want to take Marcus because I feel like Marcus is actually a decent player. Not like
he's been both got.
He's been bad. No,
priors.
I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to he is on a team. I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying to justify him. Trying to make sure I don't pick anything you've already picked. So Chris Paul, I've got PJ Tucker, I've got Marcus Smart and Grant Williams. Again, no particular order, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 4 of my top 7, so I'm pretty happy with my board.
Like Presty in here, yeah.
Marcus, all right. This one's going to be fun because he is technically active and he doesn't do this stuff anymore, but when he was in his prime, again, I'm cheating on this one. I think a good shout is Dennis Schroeder. That's not who I'm taking because he is top 3. You take a screen. Not even. You take a screen, you're taking a hit to the nuts. If he is turning a screen on defense, he's hitting you in the nuts if you're the screener. It happens every time. And as someone who's on his team, I enjoy it thoroughly.
In there,
I'm like, great, awesome. Keep that. There's some other names that we'll go over honorable mentions in a minute. I would rather take the guy I feel better about than the guy that I did see something tonight of. I think Matthew Dellavedova deserves to be taken in this draft because when he was in his prime, he was bad. He was like Grayson Allen bad, but I mean, him and
There's some
Chris Paul.
diving angles that could be
Yeah.
improved.
Oh yeah. There's
Yeah,
some.
he
There's
was
some
closer
like.
to untying shoes than grabbing the ball. Sometimes it was just
I'm more so referring to like landing zone violations that we would call now, and not in
that too.
2016. You know.
The Zaza shuffle, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take
He
him and
was
be happy
ineligible.
with my 5,
Yeah.
and then we'll do 6 men just for fun since we're already at 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of screens, I can't leave, and I love him to death. Steven Adams he screens 50
Oh.
feet from the basket. So if we're talking about hard screens being included, he is hard screen god. I think he gets
Yeah.
mentioned in some of these dirty player polls because people just hate playing against him. Excellent rebounder, pretty good passer. Also had some injuries in Memphis, and it's Memphis. It's a bit of a dumpster fire at the moment, so kind of lost in that lately, and I hate it for him. But yeah, he has some absolute bone crushing screens before like half court that are just like, if he was any smaller, I think people would try and fight him. But I think it's well known around the league that that's a very bad idea. So he just kind of, I guess, in that sense, gets away with it. But I watched it, like you said with Schroeder. When he's on your team, it's great, fine. But when you flip on TNT, he's doing it to your team. It's like, I put up with this for how long? So yeah, honorable screen mention, Steven Adams.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question, and that's going to be my pick based on your answer. I'm going to actually make you pick my pick without telling you the pick.
Okay.
And the viewers or listeners will appreciate this. What bothers you more, excuse me, on a flop, what bothers you more? Is it a defensive flop where arms get tangled, or is it an offensive, like, flare leg kick to try to draw the foul at, like, the peak of their jump? I'm talking, like, a couple feet off the ground, try to kick the guy in the chin. What bothers you more? I have a clear answer, and if we disagree, I still might take what you say.
Honestly, and they've tried to get rid of this, and they have kind of, but the offensive thing still irks me every single time.
I'm taking Jordan Poole with my 6-man pick. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I'm taking Jordan Poole with my 6-man pick. He's
that
the
might have been why he
worst.
got knocked out in his own practice, but yeah, it's
The
bad.
worst at like pure peak of his jump and like could karate kick the guy in the jaw. Like it doesn't make any sense, and I'm taking him for that reason.
Like Jorge Masvidal flying knee just on an NBA basketball court, and then he misses. So it's like you don't have the talent to get away with this.
And I don't feel bad about the pick either. So
now, speaking of people who teams should let other people pay him $20 million a year, a little late, but yeah, yikes.
All right, who do you guys your 6-man? Even though these teams might win 8 games in their regular season. These are bad.
These are bad. These are Sam Hinkie dreams, is what these are. My last one, I mentioned a trolling earlier. This is more financial. Ben Simmons has stolen probably $100 million right now. Just not playing, and the stupid tweets about him working out, playing 1-on-0 this week, spurred this thought in my mind where I was going through just my general headspace about players eligible for this. I mean, I don't understand it. It's a cycle every year. He works out, he's ripped, he's great, and then he can't shoot layups. It blows my mind. I was out of truly dirty on the court thing, so I'll go with the business side of the game. Ben Simmons is going to rob someone else blind just based off those workout pictures. I just know
it. This is why I love doing drafts like this with you, because the GM draft that we did that went on for half an hour, that was like the most random. I cannot believe that name got pulled kind of draft, and I still enjoy it. One of the best drafts I've ever had. I will say I'd love to really hit rapid fires because I'm so curious. Do you have any more on your list, or are you out? I've got.
I put Zaza on the list because I feel like Olynyk as well.
Olynyk's a good one. Yeah.
Olynyk, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's read off our teams, and then I'll actually just give you. I'll give you my guys left over, and I'll see if you agree or disagree of honorable mention. So let me highlight your team to make sure I don't miss. So read off your team for me.
I've got Draymond, Grayson Allen, Patrick Beverly, Markieff Morris, Steve-O, and my honorable kind of basketball mention is Ben Simmons.
Yeah, active player. It counts. I had Chris Paul, P.J. Tucker, Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, and Matthew Dellavedova in no positional order. I'll be playing P.J. Tucker and Grant Williams rotating between the 4 and the 5, and I'm very okay with the 3-guard lineup of Paul, Marcus, and Dellavedova. I'll give you some honorable mentions that I do think need to be mentioned. Jay Crowder, just from a loud in your face couple
Right.
things here and there, tick-tacky that I could see. I had them written down. I had the other Marcus or our other Morris brother written down because honestly, either one probably would have been a fair pick. I said Dennis Schroeder. Neither of us took him, but again, you're getting hit in the groin when you are the screener on him on defense. Reggie Jackson. I don't know why I wrote that down, but I wrote that down.
Yeah,
that one.
As a former fan of the team, the fan of the team used to be on. That's
is it right? Is
honestly
it true?
really. I think the reputation picked up honestly when he left OKC because some of those games where him and Westbrook went at it. Obviously, all eyes are not on Reggie Jackson in that moment, but I think he did some really under the skin type things and then continued to do it. And yeah, I mean, we had a sighting of him, I believe, in Game 4. So
for an entire minute. By the way, this one I'm scared to mention, but James Johnson. Just for the sake of this, could probably get cut out between now and tomorrow morning, just for the sake of my well-being. But I don't want to get punched in the throat. But James Johnson, I just feel like if he punches a guy in the throat defending a teammate, is it sneaky? It's kind of going down your route a little bit. Not really sneaky. I had campaign as well. Just
really.
Some of the back screens on the baseline.
Again,
he hits people a little too hard for being so small. I don't know. Sometimes it's just a little tick-tacky, and I'm like, why is he doing that? Also, just some of the flailing. I don't know. Just whatever. Just these are all honorable mentions for.
Do we bring up Harden if we're going to talk about flailing? I mean, that's.
I thought about going even like how many superstars could make it on this list, but that wasn't as fun
Harden,
as the draft.
Trae Young, Steph. Yeah.
This could have got
a lot on offensive. Yeah.
Fred VanVleet, again, no real backing to this one. Just I don't know. I just have he should have probably been on this list for a couple of different small reasons.
Until he signs with the Lakers, we'll go back and cut this.
Yeah. Taj Gibson, who is technically still active.
Hard
screener. I could see a couple things maybe going out of it. He seems like just a passionate guy that might do something like that. And then the other reason this conversation spurred was that ridiculous call where the arms got flailed with Bam Adebayo. I think some of the arm things that just it is what it is.
And quickly, as the fifth foul on Jokic with 10 minutes left, give me a break. Are you kidding me?
He forced that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he forced.
Oh, I know. No. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm echoing Bill Simmons, et cetera. I saw 15 tweets in 30 seconds earlier when this happened, but I mean,
stuff.
It's been the reputation of the NBA where the fouls are different in different games and different times. And that's an example of why that should be a thing.
Yeah.
Covertly. I think if it's obvious, then we have maybe issues and tweaks to be made. But I think that if you really look up at the scoreboard and you're thinking, I'm going to give Jokic 5 for contact he didn't even initiate, really? I get it if it's like Luka and he's complained for 3.5 hours and you're just tired of him. But like you said earlier, Jokic not really one to cry wolf, I guess you want to say. I feel like he took a lot of contact in this game and could have shot maybe 10 more free throws, to be honest. It's just how he's officiated because he's so good around the rim. He's just he's used to absorbing contact, and that kind of gets baked into what's allowed and what's not. But yeah, I texted you early on the game. I like the fact that the officials are letting him play. Good early, slow grind on offense, a lot of missed shots. I mean, that was kind of a theme for Miami throughout. But yeah, that being the fifth foul on Jokic in that spot for that, with the benefit of replay, which I will say we have and they don't unless they go look at it, that sucked. But that was really my only gripe from the game. So
the benches had ample opportunity to look at their head coach and say review that, but I think it was just close enough that they probably don't have irrefutable is the right word.
Right, because if you lose that, you're like, oh man, I really should not.
Yeah, it gets weird quick. All right. This was a lot of fun. 48 minutes later, we really only talked about the game for 24 minutes, but neither here nor there. I really enjoyed the draft, though, because I think there's just some guys that hopefully no agents see this video tomorrow. But a lot of fun. I don't know why I was starting to do an outro treating this like it was like Denver just won the series. There won't be any that I can help it. There won't be any random draft antics. Yeah, there won't be any random draft antics on Monday night for the sake of weeknight. And also, I'd like to actually just send the NBA off with a nice cannon shot off of a cliff so that I can never talk about it for 2.5 months again. But like, I just need a break. That's all it is. I just need a small break.
12 days, but
So, I'm good. I'm happy. Yeah, no. Then free agency in the draft. I'm so excited. So on the way out, first of all, before I plug away, everything for you is linked in the description below. Subscribe to the 1009 podcast. It's on the screen right there. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I promise a Charles Barkley style hard exit on Monday, especially if it's another 15-point game. But yeah, I've got a podcast with two college roommates, more wide ranging, all kinds of sports. Neither one of my wonderful co-hosts actually watch the NBA. So I get an outlet here with Trevor. I'm very appreciative of it each time. I'm going to enjoy all 5 of these for sure. And it's always nice to talk ball. This is my first experience doing any kind of live thing. It was crazy at first, starting a little more comfortable, so hopefully that's reflected in how these go. First live draft too, so check that off the box as well. So, but yeah, a lot of sports. We took a week off because we all went to Clemson, met up, and watched the baseball team lose to UNC Charlotte, who, no disrespect, should not have been within 10 runs of us, but that's what happens. You lose in 14 again the night before. So, a lot of sports, a lot of journal stuff. We'll be back early next week with one, and I'll have that on my Twitter and obviously the podcast Twitter as well. So if you wander over there, we're getting close to 500 followers. So if you chip away at that, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, as always, everything is linked in the description below. I don't want to plug too hard, but Final Big Board went out. The more I think about it every single day, the more I want to change it every single minute of every single day. So I'm going to spend time not looking at it. But got a lot of really cool stuff coming the next couple of days. If I can help it, I honestly hope that Miami wins Game 5 so that I have another week to write this piece. But I'm going to be putting out something that has a little cool memorial of the NBA for the season coming out if I can actually finish it this weekend. And then just look out for all the draft chat content because the moment the NBA season ends on Monday, hypothetically, it will be all draft for all 14 days left, basically, or 16 days, whatever it is. Anyway, SeatGeek code 2-pointers gets you $20 off your first purchase. Going to baseball games throughout the summer, concerts, sporting events, whatever you're heading out to. Code 2-pointers, link in the top of the description. I think that's it. I feel weird doing outros at midnight, but 51 minutes later. Thanks to everyone for liking, commenting, subscribing live on YouTube and on Twitter. Be on the lookout for all of the major fun and exciting things coming up from both of us throughout the next couple of weeks with the season. This has been the 2 Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor Everett on behalf of Grayson. We'll see you later.